Hello. It has been almost 3 years since I've posted an actual video, but I have genuinely not been as emotionally invested in a survival show as I have Boys Planet in years. Now that the show is over and I have no reason to be stressed and anxious every Thursday night, I decided to compile some of my thoughts and opinions on this series that literally no one asked for, but I am sharing anyway. Before we get started, I'm going to count down my overall top 9 picks from the show. This is different from who I actually wanted to make it into Bepler, but if you're curious about my ideal lineup, you can check out the short on my channel. I also only started making a top 9 after the dual position battles whoops. He is such a slay and really brought so much personality to this show. I personally liked his rap tone the best out of the trainees, and he provided some of the best moments in the show.
You're a bird! 매튜 형, sorry. 그래서 댄스 필요해, 나.
하루 더 연습생입니다.
저요? 저요? 루터.
This man is so fine, I fell for him instantly. I think he is far more talented than other main visuals in past survival shows and has a very likable personality and reassuring leadership presence. Gang is what sold me on him. His facials and stage presence were insane. I cannot believe no company has picked him up since Wonder 9 disbanded, because he is seriously an all-rounder. I get emotional watching Man in Love because of his angelic smile and vocals. He did my alts justice and has honestly killed every performance with his voice. Mother. Throughout every performance he never failed to impress me and is seriously so talented. I also love the focus on dance forms like whacking and tutting because of him. What can he not do? I really love everything about him, I cannot lie. He was the most memorable trainee to me after episode 1 and I have kept him in my top 9 the whole show. I took notice of him in the reel, but his leadership and performance in Hot Sauce is what solidified him in my top 3 throughout this entire competition. He is confident with basis and is so ready to debut. Gunwook was one of my favorite contestants from Wild Idol and I was so sad he did not make it into TAN. He is seriously all-rounder material and has insane presence for an 18-year-old. I was so hyped to see him get a spotlight on Boys Planet and really thought he'd be my one pick this whole show. But then in walked. Dear God, I love him so much. He was near the bottom of my top 9 until I rewatched the first 3 episodes with my sister and I somehow fell for him out of nowhere.
Me plus you. 나와 닮은 너와 함께 우리라는 이름 안에서
Mnet only used him for his reactions, but he is seriously so versatile, stable and confident that I only wanted to root for him even more. Now that that's out of the way, let's move on to my opinions on the actual show. Honestly, this segment had a good mix of emotional and hilarious moments. The red and blue houses, the iconic hot performance, Daul and Jun So's freestyle. I cried to the Tokyo-based trainees singing Shine in front of Hui. Also, I will never shut up about how good the reel was, like they could have been a debut group already. I don't have too many complaints, but here are my recommendations for some performances they skipped that you really should watch.
Looking for attention. 지구조만까지 D-1 하루아침에면 조국이죠 왕좌 놀라 뒤집어져 사람들 쎄 우리 다 큰일 났어.
Firstly, I must say that Planet Boy Fighter is probably my favorite segment from the entire series. I loved seeing dancers with a street background get acknowledged. Especially people like Haru who'd gotten no screen time before this. Woonki had me screaming but Keita served it right back. Mingyu had me cackling. That being said, I need the Hirudo vs Shanbin battle. Mnet, give it to us now. I agree with most of the decisions except with Danger. I personally felt G Group gave a grittier and more determined performance than K Group. I also thought that the Love Me Right battle should have been much closer than it was. Like, I love Hui's vocals so much, but there is no way he should have beaten J by almost 100 points. K Group's backdoor team literally looked like already debuted idols and I was really satisfied when they won. Jongwoo was the MVP and I'm so glad this performance made his rank increase enough to make it past the elimination. It's really hard to remember trainees after one performance, but here are some people I feel like should have made it past the first elimination.
Just right, shit, don't we gotta act, set it by the old, yeah. 모든 것이 특별해, no watch it, oh, yeah. 무엇 원하도 I'ma make it work, yeah. 액원여, 장법이 난거 다 붉은 마음대로 지금 누구라도
That being said, all of my top 9 made it past this elimination, so we were ready to move on to After a 1-month break, I jumped back into Boys Planet when this was airing and I was so excited to see the stages. Honestly, these performances are so replayable and the overall quality improved significantly from the last round, and I still listen to both Tomboy and Man in Love at least once a day. Also, I learned recently that liking Man in Love as an infinite alt is a hot take. I personally liked the performance, but it doesn't hold a candle to the original. Now, I must confess that in the moment I was fully on the Law hype train, especially since some of my faves were in it and the dancing was so strong. However, in retrospect I have, along with most people, come to the conclusion that Zoom definitely should have won the rap dance category. There was something so relaxed and fun about their stage that none of the other teams had. My main issue with Law is that there wasn't enough rapping, while Zoom had only strong rap verses and produced one of the most iconic lines from the show. I do agree with both Love Killa and Tomboy winning their respective categories. However, I honestly feel like the Love Killa stage was overrated. You could have taken their benefit and given it to another team from vocal rap or rap dance and I would have been satisfied, because honestly vocal dance was the weakest category by a lot. And again, now we come to me complaining about a few people who got seriously robbed. Someone tell me how he got last place for both Love Me Right and Law. I will not forgive people for this. I will also never forgive Mnet for not airing his all-star performance of Gambler. I've always liked his energy and even prefer his rapping over Lee Jeong's. He shone in the Real and Gang and had so much potential as an all-rounder. I'm not crying, you are. Christian's vocal tone, Anthony's rapping, and Jihu. Jihu found a new fan in me because of this performance, but he was literally so good in everything. I am so mad he didn't make it further. Shut up, I am still not over Wumudi's elimination. I actually think Mnet liked Wumudi, but how much screen time he got after the elimination just made me even more sad. Like how hard he was trying in Switch only for everyone else to give up was so depressing. In retrospect, Wumudi should have been in my top 9 prior to his elimination, because now I won't shut up about him and I really hope he debuts soon. Also, the fact that the field day segment came directly after this very shocking and saddening moment where no one from the vocal rap category had passed elimination was very off-putting, and I wish Net hadn't done that. It totally shifted the vibe from this emotional moment to okay, now watch these trainees have fun. Okay, we have made it to the top 28, and at this point I do have an attachment to like 90% of the trainees, and I knew this elimination was going to hurt. Personally, my favorite performance was On Guard. I just thought they made a very cohesive team and there were no weak links. However, I was genuinely so angered that Ga Yuvin won first place in this team because I thought it was going to be Hui, Gunwook or Sungwon for sure, like they literally got robbed. Especially Sungwon showing off his high notes, my god. That being said, I do agree with the final rankings, even though people needed to put more respect on Supercharger and Switch teams because they pulled it together so quickly. Trust me, I spent this whole voting period getting all my friends to vote for So-won while still mentally preparing myself to see him go home. I was already in the mindset of not wanting him to make the final debut group anyway, so I was honestly only a little bit sad seeing him get eliminated. On the completely opposite hand, I think Haruto's elimination is the thing that saddened me the most the entire show. After how hard he worked to pull Supercharger team together and considering their performance was aired first, I thought he would definitely make it through, only for him to fall 6 places. Like he wasn't even a contender for 18th place, what the fuck. On top of that, the entire Supercharger team got sent home. I'm still not over it because they brought so much personality to this program. Anyway, Haruto is no longer in Wake 1 and I am glad he is free, and I hope he still pursues being an idol, but I would not be surprised if he was traumatized forever and wants to give up. So thus began the most stressful week I've had in a while, with me begging everyone and their mom to vote for Gunwook. I woke up at 4:50 a.m. for this and then went to work after. I wish Mnet let the eliminated trainees perform here. And with the top 18 it would have been a real full circle moment, but I guess not. The little filler segments were cute, but I think we can all agree that there is no way the broadcast should have been over 4 hours long. Like, I know it's probably because the trainee speeches took longer than expected, but still. It was also painfully obvious how hard Mnet was trying to push Fanbin in this finale, but I was here for it because I love him. Both Jelly Pop and Hot Summer were very good performances that I couldn't take seriously because of the failed lip syncing. Mnet should have just let them sing live. I'm pretty sure they would have been fine. I thought Gunwook stood out the most in Jelly Pop, like Mans finally got to do something cute and refreshing. Also, House Stylist needs a raise for that cropped sweater, my god. I really liked Ricky and Jiwoong in Hot Summer, but Terry's pre-chorus is what lives in my head rent-free. The ballad was cute, but Fanbin both entirely missing his lines and then bawling at the end really sent me. Honestly, I spent the whole ranking announcement being stressed for Gunwook. I wanted him to debut so badly. I felt pretty confident my other picks would make it except Fanbin. Jiwoong being 8th really threw me for a loop, but when Terry was 6th I was starting to give up hope for Gunwook. I kept saying during the 6th place announcement that if he didn't show here he just wouldn't show at all, so let me tell you, when he was called at 5th, I screamed at the top of my lungs and then shouted "oh my god" while pacing around my apartment for over a minute. I was so relaxed and thought that nothing else could hurt me until Matthew and Ricky ranked 3rd and 4th. I got so scared for How because I knew Eugene had a strong one-pick fanbase, so I was losing my mind. I started chanting Shanbin Jonghao to manifest, so when they were the top 2 I screamed again. And then Jonghao got first. I was literally losing in disbelief. And then the 9th place ranking was so rushed, like suddenly Eugene was there and it was over. No planet pass or anything. With all that being said, do I like the final lineup of zerobaseone? The answer is yes. Personally, Eugene and Matthew weren't in my picks, but I had long since accepted they would be in the final lineup and had grown to appreciate them. Ricky was a shocker I was okay with. However, with Ga Yuvin it wasn't until I saw literally everyone running up to hug him after they made the debut lineup that I really began to think his personality is essential to the group. Also, his endearing reactions to people making it were so relatable. The group name could have been a lot worse, and at least we got the iconic moment of Jiwoong forgetting the group name. Kata not making it was a genuine shocker and heartbreaker to me, and I'm sad we'll never hear Gunwook sing because he will be carrying the rapping. Still, this group has good balance and chemistry and makes sense. Some last opinions on Boys Planet as a whole. Firstly, The votes were not rigged and people need to stop using this as some coping mechanism for why their pick didn't make it. Yes, Mnet manipulated things like screen time and interim ranking reveals, but I 100% believe the results weren't rigged. There is no way Mnet would have let How be the center if it were rigged. They also would have taken Fanbin over Guyuvin with the lack of screen time Guyuvin was getting in the final stretch. They probably would have also found a way to rig Ricky out. There were no unimaginable or inexplainable shifts in rankings. Mnet also used a reputable company to manage the voting, and there is no way this company would risk their reputation if it wasn't legit. Secondly, I hate a lot of things Mnet did during this show. I hate the constant repeating of parts during the performances, and the full versions are so much more enjoyable. I think having a reaction cam in the corner would be a great alternative. I also think that the live audience voting was incredibly unfair. It is obvious how some trainees will win first place in their group just because of their fanbase being stronger. It also puts G group trainees at such a significant disadvantage during the K versus G group battle. I forget what show it was, but they had a set amount of fans who one-picked each contestant attend the filming, so it was more fair. But I suppose that could result in everyone just voting for their faves. Mnet withholding footage from us also needs to stop. I need the other musical performances from episode 10 so badly I could cry. Finally, I hate how the centers for the final stages were determined by views. I mentioned before that Matthew wasn't in my picks, but I genuinely think he deserved to be Jelly Pop Center. It becomes a popularity contest regardless of who actually performs the best. But luckily the most popular contestants were also very capable this season. This is just my opinion, but I genuinely believe that compared to the two previous net shows, Girls Planet and Produce X101, the talent level of this group was significantly higher. There were no obvious weak links in the top 18, and I thought that everyone there was worth debuting. Heck, even the top 28 and 52 were incredibly solid. The eliminated 9 trainees from the finale could debut right now as a group and would be so balanced and good. But at the very end of it all, do you know what my biggest takeaway from this show was? 9i. I am not even kidding when I say I am obsessed with this group. You have no idea. If you don't know who 9i is, they're a 10-member boy group who debuted in March 2022. It started with realizing So1 and also Jiho and Winnie were members of this group, but then I listened to their music and I must say they only release bangers. They're also self-producing, and producer line are my bias wreckers. I love them so much. They release a lot of content and covers, and their members are all really likable. Young Boy is my favorite song in the whole universe at the moment. Please give it a listen, you will not be disappointed. I am in so deep it is crazy. Anyway, thank you for listening to my long rant on this show. I cannot believe it has been over for a month, but for my own sanity I'm grateful it ended. I am still crying over the eliminated contestants, but I will be actively looking for them in the future and hoping for their success. I am also manifesting zerobaseone and 9i at KCON LA because I will make a trip out there if they're in the lineup. Feel free to agree or disagree with anything I said in the comments. That's all. Thank you for watching.